Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Hello to everyone and welcome. My name is Carlo Bobilas and I'll be your moderator for this session. I'm pleased to introduce today's speaker, Solutions Architect Rohit Raj. But before I hand over the mic, I do have a few housekeeping items to cover about today's session. Today's session will be recorded and made available on demand. We'll make sure to provide you with some details at the end. Also, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. So if you have or if you are on WebEx and uh, have a question for our speaker, please feel free to send it through the WebEx question and answer panel. We have a great group of panelists that are ready to respond. And for those tuning into our live stream, thank you very much for joining in as well. Q&A is limited to those via WebEx. However, we will have a post-event question and answer thread on the Cisco Learning Network community where you can post any follow-up questions. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and pass the presenter ball over to Rohit. Rohit, over to you.
Hey, thank you so much, Tanner, for a quick introduction. And hello everyone. Welcome to today's sessions. My name is Rohit, and I'm a solution architect for enterprise networking. Today, I'll be delivering this session. So what we are going to learn today is you will understand how do we prepare for an upgrade, and including reviewing the product compatibility matrix, performing an upgrade analysis, determining system readiness, and following a prerequisite checklist. Then we'll also take a look into the various upgrade and activation best practices and the process and the steps to perform the upgrade. And during the demonstration, I'll show you what are those steps looks like. So here are a little bit more about the today agenda. So we'll start with the Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN high-level architecture and the deployment type. And then we'll take a look into the why software upgrade is necessary. And then the steps for upgrading the SD-WAN controller and the WAN-S device. Or SD-WAN will also have for how do we upgrade and install the new software code for SD-WAN and how do we verify. So let's start with the Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN architecture and the deployment type. So the Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN architecture has been broken into the 4 planes. It starts with the management plane. So the management plane is basically responsible for central configuration and monitoring of the SD-WAN devices. The component falls inside the management plane we have is the vManage NMS. So the vManage is basically the software-based component that is act as a centralized network management system, which basically provide you the graphical user interface to easily monitor, configure, maintain all of your SD-WAN devices and their connected link in the underlay and the overlay. It also provides the single glass of pane for your day 0, day 1, day 2, and day N operation. The next component that we have is the orchestration plane that will basically help you assisting in the automatic onboarding of your SD-WAN router in the SD-WAN overlay. And the component that fall inside that we have is the vBond orchestrator. Again, the vBond orchestrator is the software-based component that basically perform the initial authentication for all of your VANET devices, and it also orchestrates the vSmart, vManage, and the VANET device connectivity. It has also an important role for the communication between the devices that sits behind the NAT, which is your network address translation. The next plane we have is the control plane. So the control plane basically helps in building and maintaining the network topology and making a decision on how the traffic will flow in your SD-WAN network. And the component that fall inside that we have is the vSmart controller. So the vSmart controller again is the software-based component which is responsible for managing the centralized control plane of your SD-WAN network. It also maintains a secure connection to all of your VANET router and distribute routes and policy information using a Cisco proprietary protocol. We call it Overlay Management Protocol, OMP. So the vSmart also act like a BGP route reflector, and it also orchestrates the secure data plane connectivity between your VANET router by reflecting the crypto key information that is originating from your VANET router. And the last component that we have is the data plane. So the data plane is actually responsible for forwarding the actual data packet based on the decision made from the control plane, which is your vSmart. And the devices available as in hardware appliances and the software-based router as well. That basically sits your branch side data center or in the cloud as well, which is basically responsible for traffic forwarding, and you can also implement the security features, quality of service, routing protocols such as BGP, OSPF, and many more things. Next, we have a controller deployment methodology. So as just we discussed, like in Catalyst SD-WAN, we have a 3 type of controller, which is your vManage, vBond, and vSmart. And there are many ways to deploy these SD-WAN controllers. The main requirement to deploy the SD-WAN controller is that the controller IP address must be reachable from the end devices, which is your VANET router and other controller as well. The actual location of controller is very flexible. You can host the controller on the cloud or on premises as well. So based on the location of the controller, we typically have a 2 method of deployment, which is the Cisco hosted or on premises. So if you choose the Cisco hosted controller deployment options, the infrastructure of the controller is managed by the cloud of team. And this team basically makes sure that your controller are up, online, and reachable. You provide your public IP addresses of your company that from there if you want to access those controller, the cloud of team will be whitelisting those public IPs and you will be able to access the controller which is hosted in the Cisco cloud. Cisco Cloud of Steam will also perform the initial installation of the controller for you and provide you the required information to access those controllers. And you are responsible for actually configuring and upgrading using the controllers. And and what is mean, like, you are still creating the device template policies, logging into the vManage for troubleshooting, managing, and monitoring your SD-WAN devices. And the cloud of Steam is just making sure that you can reach to the controller and the controller are healthy. When we say, like, the on-prem deployment, which is basically you are deploying your SD-WAN controller on your data center where you need a physical server. On the top of that, you host the ESXi or KVM operating system, and then you start creating the virtual machine for your controllers, which is your vManage, vBond, and vSmart. And if you are hosting the controller at your data center, then you must ensure that the NAT operation is performed on your vBond IP if the private IP used for the vBond deployment, and if your edge devices are configured with the public IP address. So now let's discuss why software upgrade is necessary. So the software upgrading software has a multiple benefit, like resolving PCERT issues. So what is PSERT? PSERT stands for Product Security Incident Response Team. And Cisco has a dedicated global team that manages the receipt, investigation, and public reporting of the security information that is related to the Cisco product and network. And sometimes the only way to resolve this PSERT issues to upgrade your SD-WAN software, SD-WAN setup. Next, we have a performance improvement. So every upgrade will include some performance upgrade when compared to the older version. Next, we have a product enhancement. So Cisco is always working on the better enhancement of the product. Uh, uh, so a new upgrade will also have a new feature which might be useful for your network. So upgrading a software will benefit your network. And then the safe harbor. So the aim is to encourage the customer to move away from the really old version to the recent one, so that whenever they want to upgrade, and they cannot upgrade from the older version to the latest version directly. This slide discusses the impact of the software upgrade on the different devices. You can see the list of all the SD-WAN component and their respective impact on the business. If a customer is running a lower version of software, then they cannot directly jump to the latest version. That can cause a high risk on the fabric. They have to upgrade to the Cisco recommended version mentioned in the release notes. So that I'll be sharing the release notes and the SD-WAN software compatibility matrix link in the chat after this session. So if customer is running a lower version of software and lower version of software, they cannot directly jump to the latest version, just like we discussed in the previous slide. That can be a high risk. They have to upgrade to the Cisco recommended version that will be mentioned in the release notes. Now let's discuss like what are the steps involved in performing the SD-WAN software upgrade. So we basically download the software from the software.cisco.com portal. Software upgrade screen, and then you upload those software into the vManage software repository, and from the Cisco from the centralized vManage NMS, you can upgrade the software on the SD-WAN devices in the overlay network and reboot them into the new software. You can do this with the single devices or multiple devices as well at the same time. When you upgrade a group of vBond orchestrator, vSmart controller, and Vanish router, the software upgrade and reboot is performed first on the vBond orchestrator, then next on the vSmart controller, and finally on the Vanish router. You cannot include your vManage NMS in the group of software upgrade operation. You must upgrade and reboot your vManage server by itself. And it is recommended that you perform all the software upgrade from your vManage NMS rather than doing it from the CLI. So now let's discuss about the software upgrade workflow, which has no impact on the SD-WAN fabric. You can upgrade the software version on your controller devices, which is the vManage NMS, vSmart controller, and the vBond orchestrator, without upgrading the Vanish router to the same version. However, the software version running on the controller devices must be compatible with the version running on the Vanish router. I'll share the link that has a compatibility matrix for SD-WAN controller and Vanish devices. We should recommend you to reviewing before performing the software upgrade. Also, you should prepare a plan based on the size of your SD-WAN environment, uh, like which one you should upgrade first, like your branch or data center. A good rule of thumb may be to space the upgrading to allow some soak time. For example, after upgrading the vBond, monitor your SD-WAN for any anomalies or issues to ensure that if the network is steady state, and then move to the vSmart upgradation. Again, by monitoring the environment and validating the policies are you can move to upgrading the edge devices. And you should have a strategy with the prospective action can reinforce the successful upgrading of your SD-WAN and help you simplify troubleshooting the environment. Also, if you are upgrading all of your devices in the SD-WAN overlay network, you must perform the upgrade first on the vManage NMS, then the vBond orchestrator, then your vSmart controller, and then your rest of your Vanish devices. Once the software upgradation is completed for all of your SD-WAN controller and wireless devices, the next step is to activate the new software code. So when I say like software upgrade, it means like you are transferring your new software code from the vManage to your SD-WAN other controllers or the managed devices. And activation is basically activating the new software code, and that required reload of the SD-WAN devices. And that is a basically service impacting process where the SD-WAN controller and the router will reboot and come up with the new software code. So it is always advisable to before activating the software code, you should plan a maintenance window and then you should perform the activation of the software code. Moving to the upgrade and activation best practices for SD-WAN controller. So software transfer to the devices, which is like upgrade, will not cause any service interruption, but we have to consider the bandwidth utilization during the software transfer. For example, if you're transferring the software on a busy day or business hour, that can cause a latency, jitter, packet loss on the performance of that site. So make sure you are performing this activity during the non-business hour or if there's no heavy traffic going on. On other hand, software activation will also cause a reboot of device. So it is always advisable. You should plan a maintenance window and then you should activate the software on your SD-WAN devices. So there are some prerequisites before you perform the upgrade process that you should follow the upgrade process sequences. Like first, you should upgrade your vManage, then the vBond, and then the vSmart, and then your Vantage devices. We also need to check the VANage capacity before upgrade. That is also very important. And if you are using a FTP to transfer the software file to your devices, then your FTP should support a concurrent file transfer. And don't forget to take a configuration DB backup of your vManage that you can take it from the vManage CLI. So there is a command that you can see in this slide, which is mentioned here, request nms config-db backup path, and then you can give the backup file name. You can also take the backup using the SASTRI tool that is available on the developer.cisco.com portal. You can download and you can use it. So, and what are the steps that is involved for upgrading the software? So, I mean, that you need, basically you will transfer the software from the vManage to the your SD-WAN devices. That could be your controller and Vantage devices. We suggest like break down this section into the two parts. One part that is for the controller and one part, the second part for the your Vantage devices. And again, the upgrading will not cause any uh, service interruption. So, but do not perform these activities during your business hour or the working hour. So that you should not have any performance issues on that particular site where you're transferring the software code. So always plan a maintenance window before performing the upgrade and activation of the software. Again, what we discussed for the upgrade best practices, same goes for the activation best practices. Like first, you should activate the new software code on the vManage, and then the half of your vBond, and monitor your SD-WAN for any anomalies and issues that ensure that if it's steady state, then move to the vSmart. Again, by monitoring the environment and validating the policies are functioning as intended, you can move to upgrading the Vantage devices. So next, moving on to the upgrade and activation best practices for SD-WAN Vantage devices. So first of all, you will have to identify what are the 10% of the router that you're going to upgrade. So it is always good practice to cover the low risk site as a part of 10% of the edge router. And it is expected to face with some failure during the software upgrade process. We need to bear in the mind that this is all about the transferring the software image from the repository server to the end devices, which is your Vantage devices. So the failure is not a surprise here. In case of the multiple site router, you can still upgrade one of your router and wait for the, if the network is stable, then you can upgrade your other two routers. So again, activation of the new software code on the Vantage router is the same what we just discussed for the controller things. always take the maintenance window to perform these activities because activation will reboot or reload the device and come up with the new software code. Also, first start the activation new software code on the production test environment and see if the network is stable. After that, after some time, go ahead and activating the new software code on the low risk side, followed by the medium and high risk side. But all of this activity you should perform during the maintenance window, because it will cause a reload of the device. Rollback strategy for vManage, it is recommended for on-prem vManage, it is recommended to take the snapshot of your vManage virtual machine. And whenever there is an issue during the upgrade, you can go back to the previous state of your vManage by restoring the snapshot of the virtual machine. For cloud hosted, I mean Cisco hosted, Cisco Cloud Hosting is taking the everyday snapshot. So if there is a need to downgrade, then you can contact to the TAC and Cloud Hosting. They will revert your vManage to the previous state. Also, it is highly recommended that you should take a config DB backup. And I mean, most of the issues can be resolved using the config DB backup. And on other devices, on the device side, like the vanished device side, you can just reactivate the previous image to go back to the previous version. Device also keeping those old images for the 15 days, but uh, and then the image will be deleted because of the security issues after 15 days. All right, so we just covered the presentation part. Let me stop sharing my screen and share the demo lab setup. All right, so I just shared my screen with the lab setup. Uh, please give me thumbs up if you see the screen. All right, so this is the vManage that we are going to uh, use this for the demo perspective. So if I show you the software version of this lab, so you can click on the question mark here. Font size is too small, so just give me 1 second. Let me reshare. All right, so hope it's visible now. Right. So I mean, this vManage for demo perspective. So if you want to verify the software version of this vManage, you can just simply click on the question mark here, which is very right-hand side. You see the question mark, and click on About. You will see the software version of the vManage, which is your 20.12.2. So starting from 20.12 software code, the rebranding happened with the Catalyst SD-WAN. Now we call it manager. The vManage name as a manager, and you can see here it's named as manager, and the vSmart known as the controller, and the vBond known as the validator. So don't get confused. The function will be the same, only the name is changes from the 20.12. So this is the manager dashboard. From there, you can upgrade all of your SD-WAN devices. So basically, how you're gonna do that, I'll show you. So basically, you can click on this sandwich icon and go to the maintenance, and then you will see the software repository and the software upgrade here. So before performing this software upgrade, so it is recommended that you should take the config DB backup. How you gonna do that? Let me show you first. So basically, you can go to the tool icon here and then go to the this SSH tool. You can access your vManage CLI from the vManage the tool and SSH things, and then give the username and the password for your vManage. So you can log in with your net user uh, user credentials. So there is a command to take the config DB backup, which is the request NMS configuration -db backup, and you can give the path and then the file name. So you can give any file name. I'll give the webinar SD-WAN as a file name, and you can give the hit enter key. So it will take some time to take the backup. So meanwhile, I'll show you like how from where you can download the software file. So to download the software file, you will have to go to the software.cisco.com portal. Here you will see the download and manage section. Under that, uh, you should see here, let me make it bigger for you. Yeah, so on the download and upgrade section, you will see the access download. Once you click on that, it will open the download homepage and log in with your the smart account credential, which is the CCO ID, username and password. So there is a search box here. You can type the software -define. It will show you the software defined WAN, or if you don't know the keyboard, simply click on browse, and on the left hand side you can scroll, select the routers, and then you can select the software defined WAN, which is your SD-WAN. Select SD-WAN here, and then you will see all of your SD-WAN software type. If you are doing a new deployment, you can download the software image for your vManage, vSmart, and the vBond by clicking on this icon. Since we are performing the upgrade, so select these options, SD-WAN software upgrade option here, and you will see the new software code here. So very top, you will see the suggested release with this asterisk mark. So if you want to upgrade on the suggested release, you can download by clicking on this the code number here. And since we are using the 20.12 software already installed in our lab, and so you can upgrade to the 20.13. Once you click on that, you will see the software upgrade for vManage and your vBond and vSmart. And you can download the vManage and vBond and vSmart by clicking on this down arrow key. It will take some time. I'm not going to download those software because it will take some time. So once you download the software for your vManage, vBond, and vSmart, go back to your the vManage dashboard, and then click on sandwich icon, go to the maintenance, and then go to the software repository here. Under software repository, you will see the software image tab, and then you will need to click on the add new software. If you are using any remote server, if you have any remote server in a network, so you can add those remote server, and then you can perform the upgrade. In this lab, I'm going to show you from the vManage only. So I'll select the vManage here. So once you select the vManage, you can click on browse and select the download location and upload your the new software code. And once you upload, click on upload here to upload the software file into the vManage software repository. I'm not doing it because it will take some time. I'm just showing you like how you're gonna do that in your environment. So once you upload the new code, you will see like this 20.30, like the software version, and the controller version. You will see software location, which is in our vManage software repository. And then you will see the available file. So we have a two available file, which is your viptela 20.13.1 and the vManage 20.30.1. So this is for the vManage software, and this is for your vBond and the vSmart. Similarly, you can download for your Vantage router as well. So once you download and upload the software into your vManage software repository, how you gonna push this software to your devices? Again, you can click on the sandwich icon, go to the maintenance, and then click on the software upgrade. So here you will see the multiple tab like Vanages, controller, and the vManage. So always start the software upgrade from the vManage, and once you click on the vManage tab here, you will see the upgrade option. You will see the vManage detail here. So since we have only one vManage, we are not using any cluster. If you have a multiple vManage in one cluster, you will see all of the vManage's detail here. So the current version you can see 20.12, right? If you want to upgrade to the 20.13.1, simply click on upgrade and select here the vManage and then select the version. And once you click on the upgrade, it will start transferring the software image to the vManage software repository. I'm not gonna do that because again, it's gonna take some time. I'm just showing you how you're gonna perform in your network or in your case. So once you push the software code, you will need to activate the software code to actually come up with the new software code. So after that, you can click on activate, and then you will start seeing since we are not seeing here 20.13.1 because it is not actually pushed to the v software repository. Once you push, you will start seeing the 20.13.1 code here. You will select and click on activate. So again, you will see here the activating the new software code will cause the vmanage to reload, and and the vmanage will be not reachable until unless it will coming with the new software code. So always plan this activity during the maintenance window. So once you upgrade and activate the vmanage software, go to the controller part. So here controller, you will see the vbond and vsmart. So the next sequence is your the vbond. Again, you can perform the same activities like select the vbond, upgrade your vbond by selecting the port that you want to upgrade here, which is 20.13.1, and click on upgrade. Once the upgrade will be done, you can activate the new software code by clicking on the activate. And similarly, you can perform the same step for your vsmart as well, right? And once the controller part will be upgraded, like the vmanage, vbond, and vsmart, click on the manage tab here, and one by one you can upgrade. So basically, you can upgrade up to 40 devices at the same time, but be mindful the bandwidth utilization. So yeah, so that will cause network performance issues. So always perform these activities during the maintenance window. So once the upgrade will be done, again, you can come back here, the software upgrade options. You can download the report by clicking on this down arrow here, and it will give you an Excel file with the detail like, which all of the sites and system IPs and the site IDs and the software, the current software version that is they have upgraded. So after that, very important thing that you should also set the default version, which is very important. So how do you gonna do that? Simply click on the set default version and select the software version from the drop down and click on set default. So setting the software default version, you don't require any downtime to perform these activities. So it is the backend process that pushes some command to set the current version as a default. As you can see, this site, the site 10 has a current version, which is 17.12.2, and the available version is 7.4.1, and the default version is 17.12.2, right? Yeah, this site has another router. So you can see the default version for this router is 17.4.4.0.1. You can simply select this one and click on set default. Select the default version that you want to set and click on set default. It will simply push the command to set it the default. After some time, you will come back here and they verify the activities. All right, so that's all for the demo part. Let me reshare my screen for presentation that we can cover the couple of uh, slides more. All right, so there are some key point to be remembered from the today's presentation. Like we understand, like in SD-WAN architecture, we have four major plane, which is the management plane, orchestration plane, control plane, and the data plane. And every plane has some importance, right? We also understand that we can easily upgrade your SD-WAN devices from your vManaged NMS, which is very easy, and then follow the upgrade and activation best practices that you should always take the backups and all, and then perform your the upgrade in the sequence manner, like first upgrade your vmanage, vbond, and then the vsmart, and then your all of the managed devices. So next we have a couple of more resources link that I'm going to paste it after these sessions, and you can always check out those sessions. That's it for today. Let me pass the ball to Carlo. You there?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rohit. Let me go ahead and pull up that last slide. So let me put it up. At this time, we'll go ahead and take some questions. So let me take the ball and put that last slide up so that you can, in case there's any useful resources, you can look at that right now. All right. So if you do have a question for our presenter, please use the Q&A panel to submit your questions, and we'll get those answered accordingly. And if we don't have the answer at the moment, we can always continue the conversation on the post-webinar discussion thread, which can be found in the chat. You'll see the link there. It'll point you back to the Cisco Learning Network. So first question I have here is it mandatory to set the default version of software?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you should always set the default version. Why? Because when if you do not set the default version, when the vManage rebooted, it will always take. I mean, if there is a factory reset happen or vManage rebooted, it will always take back to the older version, right? So I mean, for the server side, you set the default version for the new code that you are upgrading it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. All right. Moving on to our next question. Uh, is a maintenance window required during an upgrade?
Yeah, definitely. So like we covered in during the presentation, the maintenance window is required. So the maintenance window is not required for the software upgrade, which is basically you are transferring the new software code from the vManage to the your SD-WAN devices. That doesn't require a maintenance window. But there is a bandwidth utilization is also we should consider during the transfer of the software code from the vManage to the SD-WAN devices. So do not perform these activities during business hour or the working hour. Perform these activities during the non-business hours, right? But if you are activating the new software code after the software transfer, for that, for activating, you need a maintenance window. So always plan a maintenance window before activating the software code, because activating the software code will reload the SD-WAN devices to come up with the new software version. Yeah, so for that, you will require a maintenance window. Yeah.
Thank you very much. There's a question here. I can go ahead and take this one, and it's about if the PDF of today's session will be made available with the recording. Yes, we'll go ahead and post that. The link to where you can review this recording will be made. Typically, the one on the Cisco Learning Network gets posted 3 to 5 business days. However, since we're streaming today's session, it will be made available after the session immediately, so you can browse to the YouTube link. So, and then we'll make sure to link the PDF in the recording that's on the Cisco Learning Network, and then on the YouTube page, we'll point back to the post-webinar discussion thread, which will also have that information. All right, next question is, do we need to take a config backup from the CLI?
Yeah, so basically, if you are taking the, snapshot of your, if it's a on-prem hosted vManage, so you can take the snapshot or you can take the config DB backup. Again, it's not necessary that you should take the config DB backup from the CLI if you are taking the snapshot of your vManage virtual machine. And if it's hosted in the Cisco cloud, so the cloud upstream is also taking care of daily wise the snapshot of your vManage, and you can also take the config DB backup, but it's not mandatory. For the safer side, you can take the backup.
Thank you very much. Okay, next question I have is, what is the difference between upgrade and activation tasks?
Okay, so like we said, like upgrade is basically, if I'll tell you in the plain language, that you are transferring the software image, I mean the new software image from your vManage to your SD-WAN devices, or SD-WAN devices, it could be your controller or the WANS devices. Activating means like you are actually activating the new software image on your SD-WAN devices. So basically, it's actually you are doing the software upgrade. which is your activation. So always remember, activation can cause the reload of your devices. So always perform these activities during the maintenance window.
Thank you very much, Rohit. All right, moving on. Um, what part of the service will be lost during a software activation?
Okay, so if you start doing the software activation for your vManage, so you won't be able to monitor, manage, or provision the devices during the software activation on the vManage. Okay, and if you are activating the software on the vBond and vSmart, there will be not much service interruption. Your data network traffic will still be functioning, right? Is just that, like, you won't be able to provision a new devices, right, during that. Again, it's recommended that if you have a multiple vBond, let's say you have a two vBond and two vSmart, so upgrade your half of your vBond and half of vSmart, and once they are stable on the new software code, upgrade your rest of your vBond and vSmart. Again, same goes for your Vanish router. If it's a dual site router, dual router at one site, upgrade your one router and observe the network performance, then upgrade your the second router. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Rohit. I see other questions about the link. Let me go ahead and post that link again to where the recording as well as a post-webinar discussion thread will be posted. So let me get that added now in case you didn't get to bookmark that. So let me go with that. And so you'll see it in the chat. And this question, I'm going to open it up to any of the panelists that are on as well. Do you know if let's see here, where is that? Uh, if it's available on dcloud, is this resource or can they do some testing for this lab to be
Yeah,
located?
definitely. Definitely. So the D cloud, if you have a right privilege, you can book the SD-WAN lab on the D cloud based on the reason that you are based out, and then you can perform your testing. Software upgrade and other things as well.
Awesome. Okay. Um, let's see here. Uh, there's one question here. I know Rohit, you talked about the default version. Um, it's when you set the default version to something else than current, will it reboot the particular device?
So, setting the default version, that will not cause a reload, right? But activating the software core, like when you run a activate command, it will reload the device. But setting a default version, that will not cause a reload.
Thank you very much. And maybe I guess there's still some confusion on setting the default version. It seems as though, to follow up with that question, if it's not rebooted, then what does the setting of default version actually do? So
Okay,
can you maybe go back
so
to
basically,
explain that?
yeah, definitely. I'll tell you. So basically, why do we set the default version basically? Okay. So let's say your router is running on the 17.12 version. Okay. And you upgraded to the 17.13 version. Okay. And you are not setting the default version to the 17.13. If something happened, let's say your vMan is rebooted or your router is getting factory reset, it will roll back to the previous version, the older version, which was earlier this default version, which is your 17.12. So that's the problem actually. So what you do basically, whenever you do the upgrade, you set the default version of your latest upgraded image, which is your 17.13. If factory default happen, factory reset happen, or if your vMan is rebooted, so your router will be on the 17.13, which is your latest software version. Hope this makes sense.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, and they said that was really informative and to the point, so they appreciate that. Okay.
Awesome.
And I know you're mainly talking about upgrades, but did you by any chance cover what is the procedure for upgrading of cloud-hosted virtual WAN edge routers?
Yeah, definitely. The procedure will be the same. Like you just download the software images for your virtual routers, right? If you want, I can share my screen and show it to you how you're gonna download it if you have time. So let me share my screen. Okay, so you can go to the software portal here, right? And you can download your virtual software, right? So how you going to download it? Let's say if you want to upgrade your VS Cloud, okay? So you select the VS Cloud here, download the software, select your the release that you want to upgrade. For example, let's say you want to upgrade to the 20.30.1. Okay, you can select that one, and you can download the VBond images, right? Sorry, the virtual VS Cloud image, right? So that is not available for the 13.1, sorry. That is available for the previous version. Let's say if you want to upgrade on the 20.9 version, so you can download the VS Cloud images by clicking on that and go to your vManage. You can upload the software image here by going to the software repository, go to the software image, click on add software manager, whatever the method that you are using it, and upload the virtual cloud software image. Again, go back to the maintenance software upgrade, and let's say I do have a virtual cloud here, which is C8000V, but it is unreachable at the moment. You can select that one. Again, you can click on upgrade, and after upgrading, click on activate, and then set default image. So this is how you can do that. So I mean, how you're gonna download the images for your virtual cloud. So let me show you. Basically, go to the download home page, select router, select the cloud edges here, and then you see the Catalyst 8000V edge routers. So you can select that one and select iOS XC software image here and select your software version that you want to download. After that, click on down arrow, you can download it. Upload it in your Cisco vManage software repository, and then you can upgrade.
Thank you. And I believe that same process applies to upgrading vManage, vBond, and vSmart hosted in the cloud Cisco Cloud setup.
Sorry, can you please repeat one more time?
So the question is, what is the process to upgrade vManage, vBond, and vSmart hosted in Cisco Cloud setup? And I take it it's the same process.
Yeah, so the process will be the same like what we discussed. It's just that you only will be responsible whether it's hosted in on-premises or it's a cloud, right? So what you need, like, you just prepare your plan that we discussed during the presentation, and then you will download the software images based on the release that you want to upgrade from the software.cisco.com portal, and then you will upload into your vManage software repository, plan your maintenance window, and then start upgrading your uh, uh, these SD-WAN components like the controller or the VANS devices. Yeah, the process will be the same.
Awesome. Thank you. And then in regards to upgrade as well, if they're in a cluster with three vManage, uh,
Mhm.
the upgrade, is it done node by node?
Yeah, definitely. It is done by node by node, and it is basically there is a separate process for that. I'm gonna post the link for how you plan your the vManage cluster upgrade. So there is a separate plan for that. So I'll share the link for that. I mean, it's a very difficult to cover in this session. So I'll share the link for that. Yeah.
Thank you. And while you're sharing that link, there is a question about reverting back or rolling back the software on edges when a new software doesn't work properly. Is that something that can be quickly reverted back?
So basically what happened, like let's say once you start activating the software code, your device will get rebooted. Okay. So your vManage will wait until like the router will come up with the new software code and establish the control connection. If that is not happening, it will automatically revert to the previous or existing software code that is available. Let's say if you are upgrading to the 17.13.1 and the router already have the 17.12, it will revert back to the 17.12 if anything happened with the new software code.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Right.
And um, there's one question here, and maybe if you can't answer it, we can direct users again to the Cisco Learning Network, where the link is in the chat to for follow-up conversation. And it's regarding the CSR 1000V SD-WAN image. Is that different from the C8000V?
Okay, so I mean, CSR 8000V is discontinued from from the 17.3.4. So now we have a Catalyst 8000V routers, right? It's very similar that what we had the CSR 8000, CSR 1000V. So if you have an existing CSR 1000V, you can upgrade to the C8000V. Yeah, yeah, we have
Thank
a
you.
two different images.
Awesome, thank you. And then following up on where to download, you showed us earlier where to download the actual
Yeah,
software.
right.
Uh,
Yeah,
there's a question about MD5 checksum mechanism. Is it available to check and verify the integrity? I believe you can do that using the software, right? If you go to the software download
right. Yes,
page,
yes,
there's a
yes,
checksum
definitely,
that you can run it through. So after you download the image, just do it MD5 check, and then from there, if everything
definitely.
goes well, you just do the upgrade. So thank you. Great question on that one. Okay. Uh, besides dcloud, any other options that they can use to if they want to do set up their own lab and test things? I take it you have to have uh, uh, the proper licenses, right? You have to have an account where you can download images. But the SD-WAN
Right.
images are not freely available. You have to have the proper
Yeah,
Cisco entitlement
definitely.
for that. So, uh,
Right.
okay,
Yes.
thank you. And then one other question is, how important is redundancy of VBON and vSmart apart from WAN edge devices for ensuring seamless operation of SD-WAN environment?
Sorry, can you repeat one more time?
So Tarun asks, how important is redundancy of VBON and vSmart apart from WAN edge devices for ensuring seamless operation of SD-WAN environment? And the follow-up question is how to ensure same during upgrades of VBON and vSmart. Will my data packet get affected in case of failed upgrade?
Okay, so I mean, if anything happened with your controller part, your data packet will not impact because this is the beauty of SD-WAN actually. So the SD-WAN, what is doing actually, if you understand the technology, uh, uh, it's basically separating your control plane and the data plane. I mean, prior to the SD-WAN, the control plane and data plane module was in your router itself, right? But with the SD-WAN technology, the control plane module is taking out and it's virtually sitting maybe in the Cisco hosted cloud or the data center. So if anything happened with the control plane, your plane still will be functioning. There is a graceful restart timer, start working it. During that graceful restart duration, if your controller is if you are trouble after troubleshooting your controller is up, then there is no impact. Okay, so in short, like there is no impact if something happened with your controller during the upgrade. Your data plane will still functioning till the graceful timer that is configured. Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And this one is more just in terms of service. They were wondering, do we need to take the hosted controller from Cisco as a PaaS or as a software as a service, SaaS service, uh, monthly or yearly
So
billing?
So, I mean, for that information, you can reach out to your Cisco account team. They will help you out. But I can tell you is that we always recommend to go by the Cisco hosted controller because that will be you are not you will not be able you are not managing the you are only managing the configuration part, not the underlay part of your controller like the virtual machine of your the we manage vBond and vSmart, right? So yeah, so and the licensing part, you can reach out to your Cisco account team. They will help you out with that.
Thank you. And just one last question, and it's the follow-up in regarding the graceful timer. How long is the graceful timer? Or is that something that you set yourself?
Yeah, so a graceful restart timer, I will share the the link here to read out on that.
Awesome.
Let me
Perfect.
find that link. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that takes all the questions. So after you paste that link, Rohit, if there's anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up?
No, all good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, everyone. The link to where the recording will be posted, as well as the post-webinar discussion thread, again, is in the chat. We would like to thank Rohit again, as well as the panelists for providing all this info to the Cisco community. At this time, you'll be directed to a survey, so we do encourage you to take the time to participate. Let us know how we did, along with just giving us some feedback in terms of what we can work on, as well as future sessions that you may be interested in. So again, we want to thank everyone for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.